Once again in the book of Romans chapter 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. This scripture in Ephesians 2 verse 1, this scripture applies to every human person that came out of a mother's or a woman's womb. Ephesians 2:1 says, and you were dead in trespasses and sins. Verse 2 says, in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit of disobedience. Verse 3, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. Romans 3 said, there is none righteous, no, not one. Without believing this and receiving this knowledge from the Holy Scriptures, why would you be interested in having your mind renewed? Conforming to the world is good enough. But God warns us, do not be conformed. Test everything. Because at the end of the day, we are going to be questioned about our loyalty to Christ, sooner rather than later. Once again, and you were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked, following the course of the world, conforming to the world, following the prince, Satan, of the power of the air, the spirit of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh. We all lived that way. White Israelites, black Israelites, green Israelites, Gentiles, every man, woman, and child walked following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and mind, and were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. This is the result of the promises in the book of Genesis after the fall of mankind. Christ was to come to save our soul. In Genesis chapter 3:15, I will put enmity between the promise of the coming Messiah. Genesis chapter 3:15, I will put enmity between you, Satan, and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise Christ, your head, and you shall bruise Satan, his heel. Thank you for that promise that we will live with our Creator. Why God has saved us from the kingdom of darkness. Ephesians 2:4 says, but God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us. You were not saved because you were an Israelite, black or white or green. You were saved because of the rich mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us. Jesus, the anointed Christ. Be right back.